Okay, so there. Hi, good evening. Bob Reyes here from the Mozilla Philippines Community. Thank you for joining us tonight in this edition of our online meetup for February 2023. We are privileged to have a guest tonight. So before I introduce her, so shout out to all those who took time and joined us right here inside the meeting room. So from my screen, I can see that we have uh, Byron, Eric, Novel, Franz, Jake, Jezreel, Kenrick, Kurt, and of course our guest Temi. Where am I? So, as I had mentioned, we have a special guest, and we are going to talk about Mozilla and trustworthy AI later tonight. But before that, so for those who just joined us for the first time, so we are the Mozilla Philippines Community, and just to give you a background, many people may know us because of Firefox, but little did they know that we are actually something that was in existence as far as the late 90s. So when engineers at Netscape started a project called Mozilla.org, then it snowballed into something that we know now as the Mozilla organization. Here in the Philippines, we started organizing ourselves as early as 2009. And at present, we have 4 Mozilla reps, 2 regional coordinators, and 8 core members comprising of the Mozilla Philippines community leadership. When we talk about Mozilla, we are always associated with the web browser, that is Firefox. And it's because it's part of our commitment to bringing products that will ensure that users are protected, their privacy are respected, and we promote an open web. So when we talk about Firefox, as I always will tell people, it's not just the browser. So it is a family of products that includes the web browser, Firefox Monitor. Uh, the web browser is available both for mobile and for desktop on any major operating system available. When we also have a service called Firefox Relay. So if you want to have an extra layer of protection for your privacy online, so you don't want to give away your real email address to websites that you do not trust, then we invite you to try Firefox Relay. So it's a free service. Currently, we are at version 110. Firefox is currently available in English and also in Tagalog. And we are working on the localization of the web browser to Hiligaynon and Cebuano. So if you know how to speak those languages, we invite you to join the localization team. I'll give the details later on. Not many people may know, but Mozilla is actually a mission-driven nonprofit organization. So what is our mission? We exist because we want to ensure that the internet will remain as a global public resource that is open and accessible to all, and to have an internet that truly puts people first so that individuals like you and me can shape our own experiences and are empowered, safe, and independent. And we are inviting you to join our organization. Why? Because as a nonprofit organization working to ensure that the internet will remain as an open and welcoming all place, we need your help. Okay, so when you join the Mozilla Philippines community or Mozilla community in general, you can help drive innovation, enhance accountability and trust, and make the internet a better place for everyone. So how to join? For those who haven't joined or signed up yet, just go to join.mozillaph.org so that we'll be able to know in which part of Mozilla would you wish to be part to contribute to. So we had a session of like this a month ago. So how can you contribute? Whether you're someone technical or non-technical, you are most welcome. Okay. So we uploaded that session already on our YouTube channel a few weeks ago. So enough of that. So I am going to call our special guest. So she is the program manager for technical relationships at Mozilla Foundation. So I will not be talking too much, and I will let her do the talking and introduction. So our guest for tonight is Eyitemi Popo. Hi, Temi. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for the invitation, Bob. I think it's always great to just meet different communities at Mozilla from all over the world. So it's great to be here.
Thank you too. Thank you too. It's I know it's something like very early in the morning from where you are right now. So thank you, thank you. We are so happy and privileged to have you.
Thank you. So I'll go ahead and introduce myself. You can call me Tammy. I am the manager of technical relationships on the MozFest team. So MozFest is Mozilla's movement building arm. We're the folks that really engage with community all around the world, and we mostly do it through the Mozilla Festival, which is our annual gathering. We've been having it for over 10 years. During the pandemic, we shifted to doing it virtually. And so now it's become this huge global event with thousands of technical and non-technical folks from all over the world who come together over a week virtually. And we're also kind of changing the model for the in-person event, which used to be in London, and I think they did some in Barcelona. This year, we're doing it in Amsterdam, but we're also going out of Europe for the first time and doing a MozFest house in Nairobi, Kenya. So it'll be very interesting to see how this new global model of having MozFest in different parts of the world evolves, and maybe someday we'll come to the Philippines. So my role really includes, just staying engaged with our technical community and our partners. And I'm also the co-chair of the Trustworthy AI working group. So I'll be talking a little bit about that today. So if you can share our slides.
Yeah, sure. Hold on. I'm going to switch to that slide. There you go.
Thank you. So I'll
Yeah,
kick off.
there you go. Yeah.
So I'll kick off with talking a little bit about the Trustworthy AI working group, because that's actually how I know Bob. And basically, we gather AI builders and civil society actors, so technical and non-technical folks from all over the world, and they come together to build tools and technology that promote a more equitable digital future. So Trustworthy AI has become the overarching narrative of the Mozilla Foundation over the last few years. And so we've really kind of been ahead of the curve in terms of talking about all the possibilities of AI, but also about all the harms. And so we have researchers and PhDs who, work together to allow consumers to better understand how algorithms work, how our data is, utilized in these algorithms, what kind of recourse we have if we face some sort of algorithmic harm or injustice. And I think now with the proliferation of, AI chatbots or, voice technology, we are constantly talking to AI in different ways than we were a few years ago. And so I think our organizational focus is more important now than ever to really continue to educate people, to say, when you put your picture in this really cool, Lensa AI app, this is actually what happens to your facial data. Or, when you're interacting with ChatGPT, this is exactly how it works. And so the MozFest Trustworthy AI group is exactly that space that people can have those types of conversations, but that they can also build solutions. So if they see a problem in the industry, they can come together, find a group of like-minded folks, and work on bringing something to the market that solves that problem. So the working group was launched in 2020. We've had about 3 cohorts now. We're currently towards the end of our 3rd cohort. And since then, we've had about 24 open source projects go in and out of the working group. In fact, some have been able to receive funding and are now fully fledged organizations on their own. Our mailing list has grown to over 450 members, representing individuals from over 50 countries. So it's a very diverse group of of individuals. And we will be showcasing at MozFest, which is taking place in March. We will do like our final demo to showcase the output of the project. So to show the deliverables. If you're interested in that, there'll be more information on how to join. Next slide. So in terms of how the working group actually comes together, it really is just the Mozilla community. So even, this organization, obviously it's part of the Mozilla community. We have the MozFest community. We have, Mozilla builders. We have all these different groups at Mozilla from all over the world. And they come together into the MozFest Trustworthy AI Working Group. And MozFest really is that moment where we have all the different organizations that make up Mozilla really present and able to engage with each other in a way that they usually can't throughout the rest of the year. And so it's really at MozFest that the process of the working group begins. And it's always been a very organic process. So people who have a passion, an idea, something they want to bring to life, they will propose it as a project to the working group, and we will share their proposal with the community. And it just happens every year so organically that they self-select into these little nodes of projects where both technical folks and non-technical folks, people with 20 years of machine learning experience and people who are currently in school for machine learning, come together to build. Next slide. So this year has kind of been a pivotal year for the working group, right? It's our third iteration, and with each year we do things a little differently. And this year, what we really focused on was moving from an organization that puts out tools and technology, to also thinking about how can we better support builders in their journey. So we started to notice things like our builders were asking, I'm very committed to building a trustworthy AI product, and I'm very focused on creating something that is ethical, but it's not always very easy to tell if things are ethical, right? Just because you say you want to build an ethical product doesn't mean that is what is actually happening. And so, especially with AI, it's only when you see how the algorithm outputs that you can know, okay, maybe there is some bias in this algorithm, maybe there is something going wrong. Or really when you open up the technology to folks from different kinds of backgrounds, then you start to see, oh, there's a discrepancy in how the algorithm reacts to women versus men, or whatever the case might be. And so we decided to create a tool, some sort of resource that our builders can use to really understand, am I doing this trustworthy AI thing right? And so we've come out with the AI Transparency Best Practices Framework. And this is something that we will be launching at MozFest as well. And we worked with our Mozilla Fellows, who are exceptional minds in the space of algorithmic justice, social justice, AI. And we want to continue to create tools like this that not just create a space for builders to create ethical products, but also help them figure it out, like help them through the process. And this is something that can be applicable not just to the AI builders that come into the working group to build, but also, those just building at home, doing it on their own. The second thing we've tried to do is put ourselves out there a bit more, connect with other people in the open AI space. So late last year, we co-authored an academic paper that was accepted to the NERPS conference with both the Turing Way, which is out of the Alan Turing Institute, and Big Science Workshop, which is out of Hugging Face. So we're trying to connect more with organizations that are doing exactly what we're doing at the Trustworthy AI Working Group, which is bringing a diverse, distributed group of people together to develop and deploy ethical AI. Next slide. So that was the working group. But I think a few times I plugged, you can come to MozFest and learn more, or, we're hosting a session at MozFest. So MozFest is coming up very soon. It's less than a month away. You can get free tickets to join us at MozFest from March 20th to 24th. It's all virtual, and we really made a concerted effort to make sure that, no matter what time zone you're in, there are sessions that are at a convenient hour for you. So I know it can be really tough on our folks in Asia and our folks on the Pacific coast of the US, because they're kind of at both ends. But yeah, the MOSFET schedule, it considers that. So definitely get a free ticket. I've put a link for you all. And then you can begin to add sessions to your schedule. There's so much happening at MOSFET. We have hundreds of sessions, I think over 500 sessions this year. So I would suggest, just once you have a ticket, going onto the plaza, which is our virtual home for MozFest, and start, looking at searching for sessions that might interest you, and you can actually add them to your schedule so you know exactly where to be when. And the last little thing I'll just plug is that because of Mozilla Hubs, I don't know if you've heard about Mozilla Hubs yet, but it's one of our newer Mozilla products. We are starting to build MozFest in the metaverse. And so there are going to be several sessions, including the Science Fair, which is our biggest tech event of the year, that will be held in Mozilla Hubs. So we have amazing artists and 3D designers creating this beautiful, imaginative virtual space. So that's another thing that you should get excited about. Next slide. And here I just put together a list of sessions that different folks from our working group, from our community, are hosting at MozFest. So once you get a ticket, if you want to add some of these sessions to your schedule, if they look interesting to you, we welcome you to do that. And next slide. I will just end with saying, stay connected. As I said, it's always great to plug into Mozilla communities all around the world. So if you've enjoyed anything I said today and you want to learn more, the best place to do that is through the MozFest Community Slack channel. So I put a link in there. You can also follow us at Mozilla Festival on Twitter, sign up for our newsletter, and definitely visit us on LinkedIn. And I will pass it back to Bob.
There. Thank you very much, Timmy. Okay. So if you have questions, maybe we can accommodate some of their questions. I have one question. Who can basically join the next cohort of the Mozilla Technical Working Group if there will be next projects to accommodate?
Yeah, so really anyone. It's been very interesting because when we first put out the call, a lot of people thought they had to be technical, right? And we found that actually folks that are non-technical actually lead maybe more interesting projects because they're coming at it from a less constrained perspective. They're not thinking of it like, this is an extension of my PhD project, and it's just like, hey, I noticed this problem, I want to get some technical folks together and see if we can solve it. So I would say, even if you're not technical, definitely apply to lead a project. If people are drawn to your project, that is evidence enough that it has some legs. And in terms of the timeline, we usually take a break right after MozFest, but applications would be out around late June, early July to apply to the next cohort, which starts in September.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so aside from being in a community that basically talks about how AI systems will be of benefit to their projects and how we ensure that AI will basically protect our privacy and all this stuff. What else are you looking at? The types of projects that can be accepted for the next cohort.
So it really is a range of topics. As I mentioned, we've had 24 projects. They've all been very different, like no two have been the same. We have a committee of Mozilla staff and fellows that help us select projects that apply. And so something we do look for is organizational alignment, right? So if someone on the insights team that's working on our internet health report sees a project and they're like, oh, this kind of aligns with something we're exploring. Or we have a Mozilla fellow that has pitched a project to us and that's why they're a fellow. And they come and they say, oh, this project is similar to what I'm researching, right? That counts for something. So I would just say, like, take a look at our Mozilla products. So with Mozilla Hubs, we're exploring the metaverse. With the Common Voice, we're looking at large language models for underrepresented languages. So yeah, I think that's one thing to kind of look for, organizational alignment, but also creativity, right? Like, this, I don't know how many people here have been to MozFest, but for those who have, you know how like quirky MozFest is. So we like things that are a little out there, a little different that no one else is doing.
Yeah, I've been once in person and attended virtually in many times. I think
Yeah.
some already. The only thing when you try to attend MozFest previously, if you're in the Philippines, is as you have said, the time zone. The time
Yeah.
is somewhat, yeah, nighttime in the Philippines, and some will have work the next day. So at least
Yeah.
now, I know that the scheduling is pretty much awesome as compared to yesteryears. Now, there's one question related to trustworthy AI. So, what do you think are the biggest challenges facing the development and implementation of trustworthy AI in the coming years?
Yeah, so I think the demographics of people who are building these trustworthy AI tools need to change, right? A lot of the harms that have come out of previous projects have been because a team was filled with just men or just white men, and they didn't really think about people who have maybe different who have a disability, or someone, or women, or people of color. So I think that is changing. I also think there has been a lot of gatekeeping in the AI space in general, right? So you need a PhD to even be taken seriously, but that is also changing because as the tools kind of become more commonplace, you don't necessarily have to have deep machine learning expertise to engage with these tools. You can just be a consumer that notices an issue and seeks to address it. And it's not always a technical solution, right? So sometimes it's actually a policy solution, right? Just to say, hey, the way you're handling our data is the issue. So this is actually a policy change that needs to happen, whether it's at the corporate level or it's at the government level. So I think those are some of the things that we will see changing in the coming years. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you. If you have questions for Timmy, now is the time before we let her go. I know. Thank you, thank you. For those who just joined us, um, it's something like past 6 a.m. to where Temi is currently. So we appreciate the time that she allotted for this call. Anyone who has any question for Temi? So we also have Romar. Romar is a regional coordinator for the Mozilla Philippines Community. So he's from the northern Mindanao area.
Mm. Hi, Ramar.
How are you, Romar? You're muted, man. Romar, are you there? Okay. So anyone who has a question related to the upcoming Mozilla Festival, the Trustworthy AI Working Group, or Trustworthy AI in general, this is the right time to ask. Okay, so there's one in the chat from Eric. Where can I read more about Trustworthy AI?
So I will direct you to a Trustworthy AI white paper that one of our fellows did a few years ago. Um, I think that's like a really good place to start. But also come to MozFest. A lot of the sessions are about trustworthy AI because that is our like narrative theme for the entire conference. So it's a great way, like if you don't necessarily want to just read and want to interact with folks, that's another way to do it.
Okay, the key answer there is attend MozFest. Okay? So that's why. So you can actually get your free tickets to MozFest. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, Timmy posted the link in the chat. We will also follow this up to you via email. So we'll have a summary of what happened tonight. Okay. There. What else? Sorry. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you, Eric, for the question. Yeah. So the sessions at MozFest this year will also be recorded so that you will be able to join later on if you miss some of the sessions.
Yeah, that's another good way to do it. So if you get a ticket, the plaza stays live for another 30 to 90 days after MozFest. So if a session isn't at a good time for you, you can always watch a recording. But if you don't get a ticket, you won't have access. So.
Awesome. So the key is get your tickets now before they close. And yeah, if you miss to attend or if you like to attend any session, but the timing is not favorable to our time zone, no problems. You can watch the recording of that particular session. But you need to get the ticket first, okay? So make sure that you have a MozFest ticket. Just go to mozillafestival.org and then get ticket, okay? Anyone else who has a question for Temi? Maybe, yeah.
We're getting thumbs up and hearts.
Yeah. Maybe one more from me. Why is Mozilla basically spearheading all this stuff related to trustworthy AI?
Why?
Why? Yeah.
I really can't answer that question. I think like the shift came before I joined the organization, but if I had to guess, I would say it goes to the heart of what you were talking about earlier with like the history of Mozilla. And if you think about it, we've been ahead of the curve, you know, with the Firefox browser, with how we did that. So I think this is just another area where we see the importance of having community be a part of the decision making for the future of AI and not just having it be up to the big tech companies, right?
Yeah, cool. When I get the chance to interview fintech organizations here in the Philippines or maybe in Singapore, when I attended the fintech festival there, it's actually one of the things that I asked them. What's their take on trustworthy AI? In Singapore, they're pretty much they want to adapt the initiative because they see that it's also a win for fintech solutions because they see that everyone will be on equal footing when it is properly implemented. But
Yeah.
here in the Philippines, AI is something I should say relatively new. When most companies would want to implement something related to AI, but some may not even know how to do it properly or how it will benefit their respective organizations. So Jessreel has a question here. What is the difference between trustworthy AI and chat GPT?
Yeah, so I would say trustworthy AI is like an overarching approach to practicing artificial intelligence. It's a thought. It's a thought that like artificial intelligence should be trustworthy. It should be private. It should be ethical. It should have all these considerations, right? ChatGPT is a tool, and it is an AI tool, but it wasn't necessarily built as an ethical AI tool or a trustworthy AI tool. That is still to be seen. I know people have pointed out, issues of bias in certain answers that ChatGPT gives you. but that is not to say that like the app isn't good, or it's just that as with any AI, there's bound to be bias, right? And so it is the role of trustworthy AI and trustworthy AI researchers and auditors to point out these issues so that companies like OpenAI, which built ChatGPT, can address them, right? Can look at the models that they're using, can look at the data that they're drawing on and address bias as people pointed out. Another question from Jose: is there an international or national law for trustworthy AI? There is not, and that is a lot of the work that our advocacy team is focused on. I think Europe is kind of leading the way right now in terms of regulating AI and regulating how our data can be used, how consumer data can be used. The US, it is talked about, but it is not something that there's currently a bill out for, and I don't know how long it's going to take for the US to actually do anything. I'm not too sure about like what's happening in Asia, but in Africa, I can just say from the work we're doing in Kenya, it is something that actually is being like acted out in the courts right now, because you have big tech companies like Meta who go to Kenya and they use cheap labor, right, to help them build their AI models, to sort data and say, this is a car, this is a person, just those kind of simple tasks. They outsource them to Africa now. And they used to have those tasks in the States, and they used to pay people a lot of money to do that, a lot of money to go through the models and sort it out, go through the model and say, okay, this is harmful. This is, for example, pornography. This is a regular picture, right? And now they've moved those tasks offshore, but they aren't compensating people in the same way. And as soon as the people are done working, they just fire them. And there's a lot of like labor rights issues going on, digital rights issues. And so you have civil society actors, lawyers in the digital rights space taking big tech companies to court in Kenya. And so that's another place where we're starting to see government actually take charge. So yes, national things are happening, but there's nothing international.
Yeah. From here in Asia, what's happening now is we're actually waiting for the EU. The EU.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever they do, we'll just basically adopt it here. But as I mentioned, some companies are already doing their preparations. So this will be something like when the GDPR was implemented in EU, and then it was em- uh, well, not copied, but adopted here, yeah, here in Southeast Asia. Okay, so Nobel has a question from the chat. What specific measures has Mozilla taken to address issues related to bias, fairness, and transparency in artificial intelligence?
Yeah, so those things, we've definitely broken them down. We have different like organizational metrics for measuring each of those things. I've been recently working on the transparency side of things, and so the AI transparency best practices framework is one of the results of that work, to say, hey, a lot of folks want to make sure that the tools they're building have transparency, but they don't know how to do that, right? And I think that's the challenge with AI. Things are so new that even with the best intentions, if you don't know how to implement something properly, you're still going to make the same mistakes that other people are making in the marketplace. And yeah, with bias and fairness, there are other people working on that, especially our fellows are doing some incredible work in that space. So definitely look up Mozilla Fellowships. If any of you are interested in applying, deadlines are coming up, so check that out. Is
When
trustworthy.
go ahead, go ahead. When it comes to the fellowships, is it available to elsewhere in the world or just a particular region or country?
It's global. I think now they're making a concerted effort to make sure it's more representative. But yeah, they've always been global. But I think now, especially, if you're interested, definitely apply.
Okay, thank you. Kirk has a question. Is trustworthy AI our next move in promoting open internet to everyone to maintain balance from big corporations?
Yeah, so I think that's Mozilla's theory, right? Um, just like with the Firefox browser, we want to put the power in the hands of the community of open source builders instead of big tech corporations who have monopolies. And when it comes to data, that is the most important thing because algorithms are built off of large data sets, right? Big data. And companies like Meta, um, Twitter, they have a lot of data on us, and they've had a lot of data on us for years and years. So their tools are going to be more powerful than anything we can come up with, or so we thought. And then OpenAI was able to beat Google and Microsoft to the marketplace with ChatGPT. And they became a bit less open, through the years, but they started off as saying, hey, like this is an alternative to a big tech company doing it. And they've been able to successfully do it. And so I think they are a signal to say, there is an opportunity to build outside of the big tech infrastructure. And so I think organizations like Mozilla that already have this global footprint and this movement building side can definitely contribute to that future to bring some balance into the marketplace.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Anyone else who has a question for Tammy? So far, yeah, well, I'm quite impressed because of all the sessions that we had this past few months, this is perhaps one of the most interactive when most of our attendees are asking questions to the speaker. So that it just shows the interest that they have when it comes to
Mhm.
AI and having the trustworthy AI initiative.
Awesome.
Maybe last call for questions. Romar, are you there now? Byron has a question here. How do you ensure that AI systems respect privacy and data protection laws? And what mechanisms do you use to safeguard personal data?
Yeah. So honestly, that is done right now at an organizational level. So if a company really cares about, respecting privacy and data protection laws, they will do that. As we see with the case of Uber, where they weren't necessarily doing that and they were kind of skirting the law there for a while. It's really hard for the government to know when this is happening. So it's really up to whistleblowers. And we've seen whistleblowers from, Meta and other organizations come out and say, hey, our company is not necessarily, following the rules. And so we're in a really tough position right now trying to figure out how to do that without empowering whistleblowers. But I think there is a space for consumers to do this, right? So how do you safeguard your personal data? There's a lot of information that Mozilla puts out on this. We have a product, I guess, called Privacy Not Included. I don't know if you've heard about that, PNI. So I'll add the link, and basically it tells you which application. So it does an audit of popular applications. We've done audits of dating apps. I think it was through that and our advocacy work that we were able to highlight, what's it called? Tinder was charging folks from the LGBTQIA community more in a subscription to match than they were charging straight couples to match. So it is the role of auditors to do this work, and Privacy Not Included is an example of a Mozilla product that every year they go through the year's most popular applications and they tell you, hey, this one is not safe, this one does this with your data, this one does that with your data. And it's always so scary because maybe we'll look at like 20 products and like one to three will be actually compliant. So a lot of people just doing whatever they want out there.
Cool. Okay. Thank you. Last one, maybe. Anyone who has a last question before we let Timmy go? Romar, is your audio okay now? sometimes interconnection is, yeah,
Yeah.
it's it's uh it's always a problem here in the Philippines.
Mm.
Okay, so if we do not have any more questions, maybe, yeah, we thank Temi for taking time to join our community call for this month of February. And yeah, maybe parting words, or want to invite them to MOSFest.
Yeah, no, this was fun. Lots of great questions. So thank you. It's always nice when you get like really good questions that you can actually answer. So I appreciate that. It was fun, being here today. And yeah, I hope to see you at MousFest.
There. Thank you, Temi. Okay, we'll be in touch. Okay, so just a few reminders for those who attended tonight's call, and for those who will be watching the recording. So we are also active on social media. So these are the touch points if you want to follow us, to subscribe to our social media channels. If you want to know more about Mozilla, if you want to propose anything, or if you want to invite the community for your school or for your event, feel free to email us via info@mozillaphilippines.org, or you can even chat us via the Mozilla Philippines room at chat.mozilla.org. Now, we started this last month in our online meetup. So all those who attended tonight's meetup will receive a digital badge via Badger. So how do you do that? So one, if you did not sign up via Eventbrite, you will not be here. So congratulations. That's the first part. The second part is that you need to go to the community portal event page for tonight. Okay, thank you, Timmy. Okay, and then you can either scan this QR code or go to the bit.ly link and then click on the I will attend button. So we will check those two. And if you did this two things, we'll issue a digital badge to you via Badger. Okay, so you'll receive it by email. To those who attended last month's uh, online meetup and did the same thing, you should already receive the badge via Badger. If you haven't, then go to this email address. Okay, send us an email so that we will be able to send it to you, resend it to you. Okay, so what is Badger? Badger is a website that basically you can collect your digital badges and store it, and then people from outside will be able to validate if you really earn that particular digital badge. Okay, so this is something that we have been doing before the pandemic, and we just revived it. So do we have any more questions before we close tonight's call? Wag lang Matt, any questions on how to participate to Mozilla? When I said that any questions, wag lang Matt, my daughter look at me. So, okay, all clear. Okay, thank you. Maraming salamat sa lahat ng umattend sa ating online meetup. So again, from what I see, we have Byron, Eric, Noveline, Franz, Lan, is here, Jake, Jezreel, John Moren, Jose, Kenrick, Kurt,
Present.
and Romar. Okay, there. Maraming salamat po at mag-ingat tayong lahat until the next online call. Maraming salamat.
Thank you all. Thank you.